Okay, so today we're talking about the midpoint formula, and you're going to find that this is going to be very similar to what we did when we were finding the distance. It's the same type of idea, except this is a little bit simpler. All right. Given a pair of coordinates, and this is x1, y1, this is x2, y2, and again, these little subscripts 1 and 2, they're just there to tell you that these are two different coordinate points on the coordinate plane. All right, so you've got two different pairs of coordinates. If you take these two different coordinates and you plot them, and you want to find the midpoint between them, you'll use this formula down here. And basically all you're doing is you're going to add the x coordinates together and divide them by 2, or take the average. You're going to add the y coordinates together and divide those by 2 and find the average for them as well. And the answer is going to be a coordinate point. And this coordinate point will be the exact midpoint between the 2 points that you were given. Okay? So let's take this and use this to solve a couple problems. Notice in the first example, I've got the coordinate point 0, 0. I've got the coordinate point 8, 4. All right. Now we need to label them. If we're going to use the formula that we use here on this paper, let's label one x1, y1, and the other x2, y2. Doesn't matter which one is which. So we'll call the first one x1, y1. We'll call this one x2, y2. All right. And then we're just going to plug it into this little formula here. So the midpoint between these 2 points is going to be x1, y1, x1 plus x2 divided by 2. And then y1 plus y2 divided by 2. Okay? So that's our midpoint. All we got to do then is take the numbers that we've labeled up here and plug them in. So x1 we said is 0. x2 we're saying here is going to be 8. And that's divided by 2. And then y1 is 0. y2 is 4. So we'll divide that by 2 as well. And now it just becomes a game of crunching it out. 0 plus 8 is 8. Alright, so that's 8 divided by 2. And then 0 plus 4 is 4 divided by 2. And now you can leave them as a fraction, but if you can get a nice whole number out of it, you should do that. So 8 divided by 2 is 4. And then 4 divided by 2 is 2. So the midpoint between these 2 points, 0, 0, and 8, 4, is at the point 4, 2. So this is your midpoint for that problem. So take a second, pause the video, and try the second one on your own, and I'll be back in just a second to show you how to do it. Okay, so looking at the second one, just to show you that it doesn't always have to be, the first point doesn't always have to be x1, y1. We'll call this one x2, y2, and we'll call this one x1, y1. All right, so it doesn't matter which point is which. So in this case, we're going to plug it into that formula, and it's over here on the left, so we won't rewrite it. So the midpoint between them is going to be x1, which we said here is going to be 7, plus x2, which we say is 3, divided by 2. And then the second one's going to be y1, which is negative 9. And then y2 here is 5, so that's plus 5 divided by 2. So we'll crunch it out. 7 plus 3 is 10. Negative 9 plus 5 is negative 4 divided by 2. And then you just simplify it. 10 divided by 2, that's 5. Negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2. Okay? So that point 5, 2 is at the exact, 5, negative 2 is at the exact midpoint between these 2 points there. Alright? So that's how you use the formula. But as before, there is an easy way to do this, and we just do exactly what we did the last time. We're going to take the formula and we're going to break it down to where we don't have to, you don't have to remember the formula, you just remember these steps. So notice in the first step is to add the x's together and the y's together. So what we're going to do is we're going to shift one of these down underneath. We'll line them up. Negative 6, negative 6, and again, it doesn't matter which one you goes where. And in the formula it says to add them, so we're going to add these points together. So 13 plus a negative 6, or 13 minus 6, is 7. And then 8 plus a negative 6, or 8 minus 6, is 2. So notice in the formula that once we add them, the second thing we do is divide by 2. So all you really have to do then to find your midpoint is take those two coordinates that you just added together and divide them by 2. And from there, then you simplify. Notice that you won't always get a nice whole number. This 7 divided by 2, you can leave it as the fraction 7 over 2. You can call it 3.5, whichever one you prefer, or whichever one the problem tells you to do. Sometimes they'll say leave it as a fraction. Sometimes they'll say give you a decimal answer. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So the midpoint between these 2 points is at the point 3.51. So take a second and try that second example. See if you can do it with the easy way here without the formula, and then I'll be back to explain. Alright, so just to show you, we'll move this point here. It doesn't matter whether you move the first point under the second point or the second point under the first point. So we'll move this down here. And now we're going to be adding these 2 points together. 5 plus 7 is 12. Negative 8 plus 10 is a positive 2. And now the last step is to take and divide both of those by 2, and that will give us our midpoint. So our midpoint here is 12 divided by 2, which is 6, and then 2 divided by 2, which is 1. So in this case, our midpoint is at 6, positive 1. If you have any questions, bring them to class.